Hey everybody, it's Amanda Lansing, the chairwoman. I sincerely apologize for my lateness. Before we officially open the meeting, if I could just have any of our commissioners that are on, please turn your cameras on. And then a reminder, if you are a representative or a presenter tonight, if you wish to turn your camera on, you can, but it's not mandatory. But we do need all of our commission members to keep their cameras on for the duration of the meeting. Okay, so the time is officially 6:10 p.m. on Tuesday, January 26th, 2021. So I will go ahead and officially open this meeting of the Leominster Conservation Commission. As always, a reminder that we are meeting virtually for the foreseeable future. Everything will be in the chat and everything that's said will be recorded for the public record. And Angela, if you could do roll call, if your microphone is working.
Yep. Hello, everyone. This is Angela Chbosky, the conservation agent for the city of Leominster. I'll begin roll call of our commission members. Amanda Lansing.
Present.
Elizabeth Ricci-Blair.
Present.
Jeffrey Goyne.
Present.
And Chuck Raymond.
Here.
All right, so all members are present for the meeting.
Okay, thank you, Angela. We are starting out tonight with any updates we have on our conservation land management. Do we have any update to Dale Avenue from the last meeting, Angela?
Hi, this is Angela here. So I did put in a legal request in regards to this property because I found out after doing some deed research that it actually was not in the care of the Conservation Commission. It's actually just in care of the city as in general because it was unwanted land. So I do need to figure out who owns the land, even though it is still a wetland violation technically, since they are dumping into the wetlands all the materials. So I'm just waiting to hear back from the city solicitors before I continue. I still haven't heard anything from the homeowners at this time, but if I do, I'll explain the situation to them as well.
Okay, great, thank you. Any of our commissioners have any questions about that one? Nope. Okay. And the Eagle Scout project.
Hi, this is Angela here. I'm just looking to see. I don't know if he is on the call. I was approached by Judy Sumner, the recreation director for the city, as she had an Eagle Scout approach her because he is interested in providing a kiosk for the Hill Street property. I'm just pulling up the plans right now. Oh, did it work? Hold on one second, let me share them. All right, so here we go. So these are the plans that he is proposing as an Eagle Scout project to install this at the parking area on Hill Street. I'm just looking here, this is all construction materials. I believe this is what typically the trail stewards allow for their kiosks. It does have to go before the Conservation Commission because this is in the care of the Conservation Commission. The only comments I have in regards to this is that in the past, Elizabeth, you will remember we had a lot of discussions about what needed to be on the kiosk for the site due to the hunting that is allowed in the watershed lands, as well as all the other restrictions for the specific site. So this must be something the commission we would need to discuss with that Eagle Scout before I think we approve it, what would go on the kiosk to make sure it meets the requirements that were voted in couple years ago, as well as because we had agreed with the abutters on what to put on the signage in regards to the hunting regulations.
This is Amanda. Angela, do we have that on file somewhere that you can maybe email to the commission? Just so the rest of us have an idea of what those items that were voted in are.
Hi, this is Angela. Yes, we do. I didn't have a computer for the last half of the day today because I was working at the IT company getting everything set up for tonight. So I can scan those in and have them out to the commission hopefully tomorrow afternoon.
Okay, yeah, no, that's great. That way it just kind of helps maybe limit the amount of discussion if we all kind of know what was voted in, and that way if there's any questions, we can ask them. So would we want to maybe just leave this on until the next meeting so that we all just kind of know what was voted in and make sure that we're okay with that and we don't want to add anything else? Would that be the best way to go about this one?
This is Angela here. Yeah, if that's what the commission would like to do, or they can approve, the kiosk to be built with a contingency on the signage. But where we have such a new commission, it might be better for everyone to kind of be on the same page before we approve it. It is really up to the commission, though.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I don't particularly have any issues. I think it's great that an Eagle Scout wants to do this. I think given that we do have a good commission or a newer commission, I'd like to just kind of understand like what sort of provisions we put in place prior to approval, just so that, like you said, everybody's on the same page. But I don't know, do any of our other commission members have any objections to that? Are you okay with just voting it through now, or do you want to wait till the next meeting just so we kind of have all the information and there's no questions?
Madam Chairperson, this is Chuck Raymond. I don't have a problem with the kiosk at all, and I think it'd be great. I think it's a great project for the Eagle Scout and be good for the town. My only question is who buys those supplies? Is that the city? Or does the Eagle Scout get money from someplace else?
This is Angela here. So usually it's funded by the Eagle Scout. I believe for this one, the trail stewards are contributing the materials as well as donations from the Scout and other groups.
Okay, that's fine. And in terms of tonight, I have no problem voting this through tonight with conversation later regarding the signs that go on it. That's just my opinion. Thank you.
Okay, no, that's great. Liz or Jeffrey, do you guys have a particular opinion? I mean, I think I would also be okay voting it through and just kind of having an email sent to us so we all kind of are on the, just have the information. Does that sound like a... Sorry, go ahead, Jeffrey.
Yeah, I'll echo your sentiment as Chuck's as well. I had no problem approving it, assuming that we get to take a peek at the language or the outline for what's being posted.
Yeah, and this is Liz. I've been through it, so I remember all the things we discussed. So I'm good on voting on it tonight.
Okay. Okay, wonderful. So seems like we're all on the same page, but I am just going to call for an official vote for the record. I have a motion to accept the proposed kiosk on Hill Street, just with the added condition that we just get an email that has the, what the signage is going to be, but we can approve it as is right now.
This is Jeffrey Goin, and I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Do I have a second?
This is Chuck Raymond. I'll second the motion.
This is Angela Chubesky. The rest of the vote will be done by roll call. Elizabeth Ricci Blair, how do you vote?
I vote aye.
Thank you. And Amanda Lansing, how do you vote?
I vote aye.
All right, so the motion carries. I will connect with the Eagle Scout tomorrow and discuss the signage, and I'll email that out to everyone. Thank you, everyone.
Amanda again. Great. Thank you, Angela. Moving on, we don't have any new hearings on the agenda tonight, but we do have two continued hearings from our last meeting. First one up is pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40 as amended. There will be a public hearing to consider a notice of intent filed for the construction of a new office and manufacturing building, along with other site improvements. The address is along Research Drive, map 503, parcel 3-5, DEP file 1991122. And do we have someone on representing that project tonight?
Yeah, this is Bill Hannigan from Hannigan Engineering, subbing for Chris Anderson.
Hi, Bill. How are you?
Well, thanks. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Excuse me.
I believe from what Chris says, the last thing that needed to happen was the commission wanted to take a site walk out there. A lot of the commission members are newer and weren't around during some of the original project. So I believe that site walk has been completed. And I didn't think that there were any issues with it. I wasn't really full contract with Chris today, but if there were any other questions on the project, I'd be happy to answer them.
This is Amanda again. Yes. So myself, Jeffrey, and our conservation agent, Angela, we all took a site walk with Chris yesterday. It was good to just get kind of eyes on the project because I myself have never been out to that area before. So I'll let Jeffrey or Angela, if either of you have any particular questions or concerns based on what we saw, based on the information we were given, etc.
This is Jeffrey Goin, and I didn't have any concerns or questions based on our site visit. So no follow-up from me.
Great, thank you. Yeah, I myself didn't have any particular concerns either. I know at the last meeting we had just kind of talked about the fact that it looked like the wetland line had been moved, but I was comfortable, you know, standing down there with Chris and talking about it, and it doesn't seem like it really moved in such a fashion that it would really affect too much, you know, the permitting process or what you guys are doing out there. So
yeah, this line is updated from the original permitting on the project. So that was done so far in so long ago that it really needed to be updated. But the general layout of the wetlands really did not change that much.
Yeah, yep. So I think it was good for us to sort of be able to just see the wetland because it was pretty obvious kind of where it went. So I appreciated Chris meeting us out there yesterday so we could do that. Liz or Chuck, do you guys have any additional questions or comments related to this project?
This is Liz. I don't at this time. Again, I've been through this one too, so I think we're all set.
And this
Okay,
is Chuck
great,
Raymond.
thanks.
This is Chuck Raymond. Sorry I couldn't make it yesterday. I was all ready and raring to go last Thursday, and it got canceled. And I just couldn't make it yesterday, so I apologize. But I'm glad to hear that Jeff and Amanda were happy with the way the project seemed to be flagged or delineated on the map. So I'm fine with it.
Great, thank you. Okay, so I did not close the public hearing last week, so I do just want to ask if there is anyone on the phone this week who would like to speak about this project before we close it out. If you would like to speak, please just state your name and address for the record. Second time? Third and final time. Okay, so it does not seem like we have any questions or concerns from the public. In that case, I would ask Angela if you have anything else to add or a recommendation for the commission.
Hi, this is Angela. I actually just have two questions just before I forget. Again, I just want to see, what is the closest point of work to the wetlands? What's the closest distance of disturbance?
Let me jump to the CAD drawing and I'll pull it up
Thank you.
because it looks like it's 5 or 10 feet, but let me just give you a real number.
You guys want to make sure I have that information.
So it looks like the flag 123 D and E would be the closest points. And that's approximately between the line and the erosion control is 5 feet.
Thank you. And then I just wanted to make sure the closest point for the detention basin to surface water is more than 50 feet. I just don't see the measurement on here.
The actual basin,
I think, sorry, excuse me, for the outfall, right?
the outfall is 16 feet.
16 feet.
And that's from that same line, perpendicular to that same line between 123E and 123D.
Okay, I may be remembering incorrectly, but isn't it a requirement that the outfall has to be for the stormwater standards has to be 50 feet away?
50?
50. I believe that's what we discussed on the Francis hearing as well.
I remember that conversation. I don't recall the context of why the basin that was a requirement. I thought that was an infiltration basin. This is not an infiltration basin. I think that's the difference, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, no, you're correct. Sorry, I was just trying to review my notes from that meeting. I just wanted to be sure.
I'll just open it up just to make sure. But I believe that's the difference.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that's an infiltration basin at Francis Street. That was why.
Thank you, Bill. That was all. So with that being said, I would recommend that the commission issue an order of conditions for DEP file number 1991222 with our standard boilerplate and the additional conditions that a site inspection and pre-construction meeting will be scheduled before any work takes place to go over the erosion controls. The phone numbers for all the contractors will be left with the conservation agent, as well as a copy of the permit will be on site for anyone to view. For the operation and maintenance plan. When work or inspections or maintenance is done, a copy will be sent to the commission. Excuse me, a copy will be sent to the commission for the file. And the agent will receive a phasing and time sequencing.
What was that last part? Phasing?
Yeah, so the conservation agent will receive a a discussion of like phasing and the sequence of work to be done.
All right, there probably wouldn't be any phasing on this one, but we can give you a construction sequence.
Perfect.
There's only one phase, really. I mean, there's an addition that might be happening in the future, but that would probably end up being a new filing at that point in time. But yeah.
Okay. Perfect.
This is Amanda again. Okay, great. Thank you for that, Angela. I appreciate it. So given all the information I have, would I have a motion to issue an order of conditions for DEP file 1991122 with our standard boilerplate, including the special conditions just stated by the agent?
This is Liz, I'll make a motion to issue an order of conditions with the added comments per our agent.
Right, thank you, Liz. Do I have a second?
This is Jeffrey Goin, and I'll second.
Thank you.
This is Angela Chwesky. The rest of the vote will be done by roll call. Excuse me, Chuck Raymond, how do you vote?
I vote aye.
Thank you. And Chairwoman Amanda Lansing, how do you vote?
Aye.
Wonderful. So the motion carries to issue an order of conditions with our standard boilerplate and additional special conditions discussed for DEP file number 1991222.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Bill. Have a good night.
You too.
Okay, moving on. If you don't mind, Ange, thank you. Our next continued hearing pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40 as amended, there will be a public hearing to consider a notice of intent filed for the construction of a single-family home along with associated driveway, grading, septic system, and utilities. The address is Johnny Appleseed Lane, Lot 4A, map 375, parcel 1/4A. DEP file number 1991123. Do we have someone on the call representing that tonight?
Yep, my name is Anthony Cleves. I'm with Whitman and Bingham Associates here on behalf of the project.
Hi, Anthony. How are you?
Good, and you?
Good, thank you.
As I recall from the last meeting, what we were left to do is to have a site walk or have the ability for commissioners to walk the site and take a look and see how the house may sit, where the driveway would be, and then also taking a look at the wetland delineation and trying to dance in between snow. I know a few of us were able to get out there yesterday, and I'm not sure if other members were able to get out there at other times. But if you'd like to mention if you had any issues with the sidewalk, I thought it went pretty well. I don't think we had any issues with the delineation, and I think everyone that was there kind of understood the setup of the project. So if anyone has any follow-up questions, I can try and answer them.
This is Amanda Lansing. Yes, so myself and Jeffrey Goin and our agent were able to take that site walk yesterday. It's a pretty self-explanatory kind of project in my mind. I think the boundaries of the wetland are pretty clearly defined by the just the topography and the way that things slope down to that stream. And I know we discussed really the part of the project that is within our jurisdiction is the driveway mostly. And then I think, was it a little bit of the house? Is that in the buffer zone? I can't remember.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, probably at least half of the house will be in the buffer zone. And for the most part, I don't know if Angela, you can bring the plan up for me, please. But actually, most of the driveway and most of the project is actually even further than 50 feet away. So it's just really there's an elbow on the driveway which kind of unfortunately coincides with an elbow in the other direction of the wetlands, where the two elbows kind of get close to each other. That's where the closest point of the project. Yep, sure. So if we can zoom in a little bit, please. Great, thank you. So you can see contour, dark contour 78, kind of on the left-hand side of the plan where there's a bend in the driveway. And then if we can, maybe we can pan so we can slide the plan up so we can see a little bit more of the wetland area. That also is where there's a bend in the wetland line and where the wetland is closest to the project. So right in that spot there is the only part of the driveway that's actually within 50 feet of the wetland. And then we start to traverse our way up the hill and start to pull away from the wetlands. And so, you know, closest edge of disturbance to the wetlands is in that corner, and it'll be about 18 feet. And that'll be grading associated with the driveway. And most everything else, we just have to get further and further away.
Right. And so just so that our other commission members are aware, so we had discussed you know, the location of the proposed water line for the house, because we did have an abutter that was a bit concerned about that. You know, the current proposed location of that line is not within our jurisdiction. So we would really, you know, there's not a lot that we could do regarding that. You know, I understand the concern about cutting down the trees and stuff, but it's not really within our jurisdiction to be able to say they can or cannot put that line there. We had also discussed that it's possible that when a contractor comes in to look at this property to build this, that they may say, because they're digging up, you know, they're doing so much earthwork for the driveway, that they may want to just run the water line within the driveway, which would then put that water line within, you know, within our jurisdiction. It would be within the buffer zone. We had discussed the possibility of approving the plan as is with the water line outside of the buffer zone, and then if when this is ready to be built, the contractors who are doing it decide that they want to move that water line, that the agent would be contacted and we could do approve a minor change, and they would just submit a new set of plans for the file.
Yeah, and if I can just jump in, it's Anthony Cleese again, Amanda.
Yes, go ahead.
Once we get through conservation, one of the next approval process would be through the DPW. We're going to have to prepare what they call a water clearance plan. So it's a little smaller plan and really becomes focused on the water line. And that usually wouldn't be done until a contractor is on board, because the contractor has to actually pull the permit. So at that point, we'll know for sure who the contractor is and what they want to do. And so then at that point, if it comes up that, geez, you know, it would make more sense and cost effective to put the water at the driveway, we can then forward that plan to the conservation agent to review it as a minor change, if that's where it would go, and then to see if it warrants a minute order of things like that. But that would be I think the next step if we continue down that path.
This is Amanda. Yep, I agree with that. Do any of the commission members have any questions or comments related to this? I don't know if everyone was able to get out there, but based on all the information that you have now, are there any other questions or concerns?
Yeah, Madam Chairwoman, this is Chuck Raymond. I just have a quick question. Again, I wasn't able to get out there. I apologize. And I don't recall from the last hearing, but what is the reasoning for putting the driveway on that side of the house? Is it because the having it come directly up almost perpendicular to the house? Is it too steep a hill? I don't recall why the driveway is being put there.
Yeah, Anthony Cleese, Whitman and Bingham. That's exactly it, Mr. Raymond.
Okay.
The way the lot sits, the left-hand side of the lot, if you're looking at it from the street, there's a pretty steep slope right up to the flat plateau of the lot.
Mhm.
On the right-hand side, a little flatter area. It's almost when we go out there, we actually noticed it ourselves as we were standing there. Almost seems like there was a driveway there at one point. I mean, there wasn't, but so it's a
Probably
flatter
wasn't, yeah.
area to start, and then it gives us the ability to get a longer distance to transition our grade up to that plateau. So it really is a way to minimize earthwork and keep the driveway grade not excessively steep.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay. Again, this was the public hearing was left open, so I do just want to ask if there's anybody on the phone who wishes to speak. Just state your name and address for the record. Second time? Third and final time? Okay. Hearing no objections or comments from the public, if none of our commission members have any other concerns, I don't have any concerns myself. Anthony, I appreciate you guys taking the time to meet us out there yesterday. I know we had to flip-flop a couple of times due to weather, so thank you for being flexible there. Angela, do you have anything else that you would like to add, or any other questions?
Hi, this is Angela here. Yeah, so my only kind of concern and question is, would it be possible to, we don't have to put it on the plan, we can put it as a special condition, Anthony, but to have some sort of vegetative buffer between the driveway and the wetland, as well as possibly someone who would do erosion control inspections, weekly or daily when that driveway is being put in, just because of that slope there, and it is really sandy soils out there. I am really concerned that once they start removing the trees, and they start doing the work, that we're going to have an issue where a silt sock and silt fence barrier is not going to do the trick to prevent sediment from getting into the wetlands.
Once the site's complete, they're going to stabilize it with loam and seed like any typical project. So I'm not sure what else you're looking for. We have a typical erosion controls where, like I said, more than 50 feet away from most of the project. I guess I'm not sure what you're looking for. I mean, the intent would, but ideally it would be nice to immediately stabilize that as soon as it's constructed. Which would be getting your loam and seed down. And that slope on that side of the driveway isn't that steep. On the other side, maybe a little more. If you're thinking of erosion control blankets, if that's where you're going with, that could be something you could condition, where we've seen in the past, if you have slopes 3 to 1 or steeper, requiring erosion control blanket. If that's what you're referring to on the uphill side of the driveway, maybe.
Nice, Andrea. So it's if I remember correctly, it's a 2 to 1 slope from the driveway to the wetland, correct?
It's a 2 to 1 slope on the uphill side of the driveway.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So on the side of the driveway that's closest to the wetlands, it's pretty gentle. It's the cut on the left side that has the steepness of 2 to 1. Yeah, but like I said, if you're concerned, if there's a concern with that slope, I would even go as far as saying, if you're going to put a condition, I would say a 3 to 1 slope, which isn't as steep as 2 to 1. But if there's a 3 to 1 and 2 to 1 are kind of the thresholds you usually see with worried about erosion control and erosion control blankets. So we show a 2 to 1 there, but if you're still concerned, in case they say flatten that slope and make it 3 to 1, if you're still concerned, I would just make the condition 3 to 1 slope or steeper would require erosion control blanket, if that's what you're referring to.
Nice, Angela. Yes, I was referring to that and the fact that once they start the work, like they obviously, not doing it when it rains, and if it is going to rain, that they have something on site to stabilize the area, just because it is sandy. And we all know how quickly things can go south when it comes to rain and sandy soils.
I mean, the nice thing with sandy soil is you typically get less runoff, so the water is going to be more apt to be going into the ground than running off. The problem you'll just have is just that slope. When sometimes you're dealing with sand slope, it'll just find its own angle of repose and stabilize itself. So if you have a 2-to-1 slope, it'll maybe slide a little bit to a 3-to-1. I don't think we're going to have as much of a silt situation if you had a really silty silty soil, where you have a lot of fines migrating off and getting through. But like I said, if there's a slope stability concern, I would suggest them putting in a condition to put erosion control blankets for any slopes greater than 3-to-1.
Thank you. And the closest point of work to the resource area, I believe it's 18 feet here. I don't know if you can see my marker here.
Correct.
Okay. So other than that, those are really my only really big concerns. I would recommend that the commission issue an order of conditions for the DEP file number 1991234 with our standard boilerplate, as well as the additional conditions that erosion control blankets will be used for areas with a 3-to-1 slope or 3-to-1 slope. After construction, once stabilized, a vegetative buffer will remain, at least a 20-foot vegetative buffer will remain in place between the driveway and the wetlands. During construction and driveway installation, weekly communications and erosion control inspections will take place. And that is all for my suggested.
This is Anthony Cleves again, if I can just interject so I understand. It was one of the conditions mentioning requiring a vegetative buffer between the driveway and the erosion control. I don't understand that comment. There's going to be disturbance. The erosion control is basically the limit of work. So you're going to disturb the site up until the erosion control. And then once your project is complete, you will stabilize the site with vegetation. So I don't understand that, the condition of providing a vegetative buffer between the driveway and the erosion control.
Okay, so it's Angela here. So my suggestion for a vegetative buffer between the driveway and the wetlands, not just the erosion controls after the site is completed, is mainly to protect the wetlands and the species down the slope. We don't want runoff from the driveway pitching that way. It'll add additional filtration, as well as it'll be a permanent condition so that in the future, future homeowners can't alter that area, add gravel, or change filtration.
Again, I don't understand what the vegetative. So it's wooded now between the erosion control and the wetlands. Are you looking for us to add more trees? I guess I don't understand what it just seems very broad. So I understand what a contractor and homeowner is. Are they going to be adding more trees or something, more vegetation? I don't understand what the condition is. Or if you're concerned with homeowners encroaching, are we talking putting up wetland signs, along the trees saying, this is a protected wetland area, kind of like a notification like that. When we hear vegetative buffer, usually we start seeing people have to start planting trees, which isn't typical. I'm just trying to get a clarification on what that means.
This is Angela. Yeah, so vegetative buffer, it can range from wildflowers, grass, seed mix, any sort of native species there. Some people do prefer trees. I know in some sites they just leave it grass and they can mow it. or they leave it as they want to plant trees and shrubbery. That's why it's kind of a broad term, so it can be up to the homeowner's decision if they want to have grass there, if they prefer to add more trees along their driveway. I've seen it in the past on plenty of permits with a similar slope.
So it's basically, the condition is anything that's disturbed needs to be stabilized and vegetated if it's not impervious, my understanding.
This is Angela. Nope. So just, the only place that there would be required vegetated buffer would be between the driveway and the wetland, a vegetated buffer between there to filter any sort of runoff, phosphorus, nitrogen chemicals that are coming off the driveway when it rains, when it snows, in addition to the wetland signs that are required.
Oh, okay, I guess I understand, but we're gonna want the whole site vegetated, so that you don't have erosion, and things like that, but maybe I'm just misunderstanding the
But
term.
that is also in our typical boilerplate that the whole site would have to be vegetated and stabilized. This is just an additional one where they won't be able to alter it. It'd be a perpetual condition as a special condition that would go with the property.
They can't alter, well, they can't alter anything in the buffer zone without your approval, is that correct?
Note there are exemptions to the Wetland Protection Act, and one of them is sometimes people can put gravel along their driveway, which is something we want to prevent. We want to have a vegetated. I would suggest the commission allow a vegetated buffer between the driveway and the wetlands area to protect that area from any sort of runoff disturbance in the future.
Even the areas that are more than 50 feet away from the wetland?
This is Angela here again. Yes, just because of the slope on that side of the property and the stream there, and the fact that it is a stream and it flows downward into other wetlands. That would be my recommendation for the commission.
Okay, thank you.
This is Amanda. So I can understand the confusion just based on the topography of the site and the fact that it is all woods right from the edge of wetland all the way up to where the driveway is going to be. Anthony, do you know what the distance is between the disturbance for the driveway and where the erosion controls are proposed? Is there an actual distance for that?
Yeah, so the closest point is 18 feet, and that was down at that elbow closest to the road. And then as you get up towards the house, kind of where the driveway starts to fatten up to coincide with the end entry garage, that erosion control there is about 40 feet from the wetland, directly measuring the closest distance. But if you were to measure it in the path of flow of water going down the slope, it is about 50 feet to the wetland. And then as you continue down the driveway, you get a little bit closer.
Okay, so my understanding is that we're talking about making sure that within 20 feet from the limit of work is vegetated and cannot be filled with gravel or something like that. That's the understanding that I'm getting from Angela's concerns, but I believe if the closest point of the wetland to that erosion control is 18 feet, as long as everything is stabilized and vegetated between the driveway and where the erosion controls are, we should cover that. So Angela, is that kind of what you mean? Just making sure that between the limit of the work and 20 feet from that remains a vegetated area so that it can't be altered and it remains stable? Is that kind of what you're getting at?
Hi, this is Angela here. Sort of. So it's basically just requiring that there's a vegetated buffer between the driveway and the wetlands, similar to the one that was required for the 446 Grant Street project, where they did not keep that vegetated buffer and they went in and they heavily landscaped it and they had erosion issues and trees falling that led to enforcement in the end. So this would basically just require that the area remain naturally vegetated and they wouldn't be able to go in and alter that area with landscaping, gravel, and it would also act as a
Okay.
filtration buffer for any runoff.
So is there a way, because I do understand how just that terminology could be a little confusing, because obviously where they do the earthwork and they remove the trees, they're going to, that's going to have to be stabilized with loam and seed and all that kind of stuff. So is there a way that maybe we can phrase that where it's a little less confusing, because I could see a contractor looking at that and being like, what does that actually mean? Could we state it in such a way that basically just says, any areas that are disturbed have to be, have to be loamed and seeded and vegetated, and the area between the driveway and the wetland, forever has to remain a naturally vegetated space? Like, is there a way that we could just word that so it's a little less confusing? Because I totally understand what you mean, and I that was my concern when we were on site too, was just that earthwork could possibly fail. But I think we may want to be a little more descriptive so that future homeowners kind of understand what we're really asking, if that makes sense.
If I can interrupt again, I'm sorry, Anthony Cleaves. Just so I'm trying to understand, I don't want to get confused in talking two separate points in time. During construction, there's one concern, obviously, when you have steeper slopes and dealing with exposed slopes, you're more susceptible to erosion. But I think we're talking post-construction, after the site is entirely stabilized. It sounds like there's a concern with homeowners afterwards, maybe changing things. I guess if a homeowner wanted to stabilize it with a planting bed, mulch in a planting bed, as opposed to loam and seed, is that an issue? Where it's still stable, it's still going to filter water. Even if you were to put a landscape stone bed, that's still going to allow water to get into the ground. So I think I think you can do a lot of different things that'll still provide the infiltration of water into the ground. I think where you wouldn't is if that driveway turned into 40 feet wide, paved or gravel. Absolutely, you're not going to have as much infiltration. And if it was gravel, you could have more erosion. So for me, I'm just trying to understand what the overall intent is. Again, also where we are not on top of the wetlands. I can see if we're 10 feet from the wetlands, you may want to make sure that there is anything disturbed. You put back some bushes, some trees, so that you make sure that close distance is protected. But most of our area, we're more than 50 feet away. Just trying to make sure we understand.
This is Amanda. Yeah, so I definitely understand that. I think really we're just trying to make sure that someone does not go in and just kind of alter that area between the driveway and the wetland, kind of in whatever way they want, right? Because I feel like a homeowner could always come before us and say, hey, we want to do some work on our driveway. Is this something that's allowed? So am trying to figure out maybe the best way that we could word that, because obviously we don't want a contractor to get confused. We want homeowners to kind of understand what the intent is. You know, I think, Angela, are you suggesting, in your opinion, that that slope between the driveway and, say, the erosion control, that should always remain a vegetated space, rather than someone being able to put in, you know, as Anthony suggested, maybe some gravel or something that would still allow infiltration?
Hi, this is Angela. Yes, because I don't believe gravel filters out nitrogen as well, or phosphorus that would come off the driveway, as well as it's not as great for the environment. You know, we want to protect wildlife habitat. We want to make sure that we're encouraging natural spaces when it's near a wetland due to the ecosystems. But once again, these are just my recommendations. The commission is allowed to change the special conditions that are suggested, and they're allowed to add their own conditions as well. They don't have to just go with what I say. This is just my recommendation that there be a permanent native or natural vegetated buffer between the driveway and the wetland in perpetuity. And in addition to that, there is also a condition in our boilerplate that says that once, you know, the whole entire disturbed site will have to be stabilized before a certificate of compliance can be issued. So that's a different condition, and that's already in there. This is just in addition to add a vegetated buffer between the wetland and the driveway.
Madam Chairperson, may I? This is Chuck Raymond.
Yes, please go ahead.
Thank you. What about something along the lines of that the area between the driveway and the wetland remains in a state that allows natural stormwater runoff infiltration on site without you know, no, I shouldn't say without, yeah, remains in a state that readily allows stormwater, not just runoff, well, discourages runoff, but encourages infiltration. Preferably
If I can interject again, Anthony,
yeah, go
please
ahead.
again, sorry. I think I have a better understanding now, so I apologize for making this more confusing than it is. It was the word buffer. So I get it now. I think what Angela is referring to is the concern is to have a surface cover that provides treatment of stormwater. And so we hear the word buffer. Usually we see someone says, I want a 30-foot buffer. That means you're putting up fences, you're putting up bushes, trees, and things like that. I think what we're trying to get to is the area between the driveway and the wetlands needs to have a vegetative cover, surface cover. And I think, period. I think maybe changing the wording from buffer to surface cover, vegetative surface cover. And does that make more sense? Well, to me, it does. I understand that better.
I think that'd be fine. You mentioned treatment. I think treatment's fine. I think we should be also infiltration and treatment. They kind of go hand in hand, but
right. Well, but Angela made a great point where in gravel, I wasn't talking gravel, but like if you have crushed stone, that'll add infiltration, but you may not get as much treatment as you would a
right.
grass area. So I understand. Once Angela mentioned that, sorry it took me so long to catch on. I guess I'm getting tired, but I apologize for that. So thanks for helping me beat this to death.
Thank you. Sorry, guys, I'm getting tired too here.
Yeah, I think we were all trying to maybe have similar ideas, and we're all just trying to get on the same page. So it's good. These discussions are good. So I do like that wording a little bit better, and the rest of the commission can kind of weigh in, obviously, if you wish, that maybe instead of permanent vegetative buffer, a permanent vegetative cover.
Surface cover. Yeah.
Cover, right, surface cover, right.
Between, the driveway of the wetland or a permanent natural vegetated surface cover must remain between the driveway and the wetland. I think that maybe provides a little more clarity, but also kind of gets across what we are ultimately trying to do. I think that wording would make a little bit more sense to the average viewer who's just buying a house, right? And maybe doesn't really quite know some of this lingo. To me, that would, if I were looking at it as a homeowner, that would make a little bit more sense to me. So I don't know, Liz or Jeffrey, do you guys have any input one way or the other for that particular condition?
This is Jeffrey Goin. It made sense to me the first time around, so I'm good with whatever language anybody wants to put in for clarification. It doesn't faze me too much.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so given all of that discussion, Angela, would you mind maybe with that rewording that the commission prefers, would you mind reading off the special conditions again that you had?
Hi there. So I didn't get a chance to write down the way that you guys wanted that other one word. So in addition to that one, I'm gonna have to go back and re-listen to the meeting. There will be erosion control blankets for areas with a 3-to-1 slope, and weekly communications and erosion control inspections will be happening along with our typical boilerplate in the discussion about the vegetated that we just had.
Great, thank you. Is it easier if I just say that to you now so you can write it down?
Sure.
Just so that you don't have to try to listen to the whole discussion again. So it would be that a permanent natural vegetative surface cover remain between the driveway and the wetland.
Perfect, thank you.
Awesome. All right. Do I have a motion to issue an order of conditions for file 199-1234 with our standard boilerplate, as well as the 3 special conditions that were just stated?
This is Liz. I will make a motion. I will make that motion.
Great, thank you. Do I have a second?
This is Jeffrey Goin, and I'll second.
Thank you.
Hi, this is Angela here. The rest of the vote will be done by roll call. Chuck Raymond, how do you vote?
I vote aye.
And thank you. And Chairwoman Amanda Lansing, how do you vote?
I vote aye.
Thank you. So the motion carries and the order of conditions will be issued.
This is Anthony Cleese up in Bingham. Thank you all very much for your time. And I am so sorry for making that so much more confusing than it had to be. I apologize for that.
No, that's okay, Anthony. I was a bit, I think I understood as well, but wanted to make sure that, everybody was on the same page. So I'm glad that we solved the mystery and got it to where we all understood. So thank you for your patience as well. Okay, moving on. That was our last hearing of the evening. No new or old business to discuss. Our certificate of compliance for 35 Day Street, that one is continued until the spring so we can see how the wetlands growing. This is a new one up, 6 Ebury Court.
Hi, this is Angela here. So this one was supposed to be a partial certificate of compliance. Unfortunately, when I received the information for it, I sent them back what they needed to send me back before the meeting. They had some required paperwork that they had missed. They never sent that paperwork back to me. They told me they were going to get to me by Friday. Unfortunately, I did not receive it by Friday, and I didn't have a chance to amend the agenda in between that time. So this is not happening right now. Will have to be continued to the next meeting.
Okay, great, thank you. Extension permits, 96 Exchange Street, we've had on for a while. It doesn't look like we've had any communication with them about updating the wetland lines, etc.
Hi, this is Angela here. Correct.
Alrighty, well, then we will leave it on there. Does not look like we have any special communications or meeting minutes to approve at this time. We have a bunch of enforcements. 9 Penny Lane. That one looks like it's kind of, we're just keeping it on the agenda, waiting for that notice of intent, correct?
Hi, this is Angela here. Correct. I haven't received communication from Mr. Amaro that the NOI is completed yet. We're still waiting for that to be sent in.
Okay. Hill Street and Elm Street lots 1 and 2. I saw you did contact the state about this one, correct?
I'm sorry, Amanda, there. I missed half what you said. My microphone went out.
Oh, sorry. The Hill Street and Elm Street lots 1 and 2, these were the ones that we contacted the state about, correct?
Correct. So we did contact the state. I did forward the commission the email from Ms. Childs from DEP. She was able to contact Ms. Foley as well as her new representative, David Gagney. I have not seen any communications since last week on this, but we are keeping tabs on it and waiting for communication back.
Okay, great. Thank you for doing that. 6 Daisy Drive. Maybe we have an update?
At this time, I'm still waiting for the lawyer to contact me to set up a site visit. Due to COVID and a couple other issues, it's been a little difficult scheduling.
Okay, all right, we'll just keep that on the agenda. 519 Pleasant Street.
At this time, I haven't heard anything from Mr. Gonzalez. It is kind of up to the commission if they'd like me to also reach out to the state in regards to this one, or if we want to give him until the next meeting and then reach out to the state for assistance, as it is past the date that we had required for him to file this plan.
Do you, could you possibly remind me the dates for those? Like, because I know this one has been on for a while, but I can't remember what we had actually requested.
So I don't have the enforcement order in front of me right at this moment, but I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, we had asked for everything to be turned in before December 1st.
Okay, and have you've had some communication with him, right?
Yep, before the last meeting, I did discuss with him and explain to him that this wasn't a choice. It was something he had to do, that the commission had ordered him to do. As he was under the impression it was a choice that he could or couldn't do it, or the city was going to do it for him.
Okay. Unless anyone else has any strong objections, I would say that maybe we can at least give him until one more meeting to at the very least be in contact with you to say, yes, I've started this process, or give you some sort of an update. And then if we still have not heard from him, we can vote if at that time, if in 2 weeks we want to get the state involved. I think we've been fairly patient, and I think that we were pretty clear on what had to be done, but maybe we weren't. So that would be my personal opinion, is that we could give him until, what would it be, the February 9th meeting to be in touch with you with some kind of an update. And then go from there, unless anybody else has a strong objection to that.
This is Liz. I'm honestly okay with whatever, but I don't see what going to another meeting would do at this point.
Yeah, and I tend to agree with you. Part of me is just trying to be a little bit patient, given that, you know, before the last meeting 2 weeks ago, it at least seemed that he had not fully understood what he was required to do. And given the fact that everything is running behind right now, when even our conservation agent can't, you know, get things scheduled because of, you know, through no fault of her own, but because of COVID and the fact that people are busy, or things are a little harder. That's kind of where I was going with it, but obviously, it is up to the majority of the commission, so I'm okay with it either way. I guess I'm just trying to show a little bit of understanding. However,
Madam Chairwoman,
up
may
to
I
you
ask a
guys.
question? This is Chuck Raymond.
Oh yes, please.
If we don't give him until the next hearing, the other option is to then report to the state. Is that the other option? Is that a
Yes,
discussion?
we would vote to ask Angela if she would reach out to the state for some assistance.
Okay.
So, you know, just kind of looking for opinions. I'm okay either way. I'm just trying to show a little bit of understanding.
Angela, Chuck Raymond again. Has the homeowner seemed receptive to working with us, or has he been more on the dismissive end, do you think?
This is Angela here. In my experience with him, it seems he's more on the dismissive end of it. Where he thinks that the city's going to do the work, that he doesn't going to do the work, and that what he's doing is necessary and beneficial. He doesn't seem to understand that this is a violation of the Wetland Protection Act. I have explained it to him several times, as well as past agents have had conversations with him.
No, I did. Yeah. I think it goes to the state then. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, given that, and I think it's something you've mentioned to us before, Angela, and I just totally forgot. But if this is not the first encounter, and other agents or commissions have had issues with him, then I would say we've probably been patient enough. So that I think I would tend to agree with that. So given that and not hearing any other strong feelings, I will ask for a motion to request that our agent reach out to the state with help in getting the homeowner for 519 Pleasant Street to do what is required under the enforcement order.
This is Jeffrey Gwynn, and I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
This is Chuck Raymond. I'll second that.
Hey, this is Angela here. The rest of the vote will be done by roll call. Elizabeth Ricci Blair, how do you vote?
Vote aye.
Thank you. And Chairwoman Amanda Lansing, how do you vote?
I vote aye.
Thank you so much. So the motion carries, and I will CC the commission on the communications with DEP.
Great. Thank you, Angela. The National Grid Prospect Street substation. We had decided on the enforcement order the last meeting, correct?
This is Angela here. Yes, so at the last meeting, we did issue an enforcement order, excuse me. And I am issuing it officially just because I was waiting for some communication on where to send that enforcement order. If I sent it to their main office, who it should be, attentioned to.
Okay, so it was just left on the agenda so that you could remember that we don't have anything else we actually have to discuss on that one.
Yep, so typically when we have enforcement orders, we do leave them on the agenda until the enforcement order is completed. So we are waiting for we'll probably leave on the agenda until the notice of intent, the retroactive notice of intent is filed.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you. And I feel like you have probably explained that to me several times, and so I apologize for for that, because I know you've told me that before. Okay, so it looks like that is the last enforcement order on the agenda for tonight. But we do have a new emergency certification. Looks like the washout of a slope for a sewer line behind Home Depot.
Hi, this is Angela here. Yes, so I was contacted by Mark Pimarini from DPW along the sewer line easement. It runs more so parallel to Home Depot and kind of loops behind it. Right where 11th Street is, there is no drainage there. So at some point in the past couple weeks, when we had a storm, it washed out the slope and it washed into the easement, and some of the sediment went down in the banking into the buffer zone. I'm sorry, the riverfront area. It doesn't look like a large portion of the resource area was altered. I have pictures, but unfortunately my phone was broken. I'm still trying to set it up, so I can't get the pictures on here, and I don't have my city phone on me. But basically the easement area was damaged and they needed to repair that in order to maintain the sewer line, as well as they wanted to get in there and remove some of the sediment that had gone down the slope and stabilize it with riprap, and install a better area for the water to flow. So I did issue an emergency certification so they could get out there and do the work. I was told that they did actually complete the work yesterday. I just haven't had a chance to get out to the site to inspect, but I will do that. It's on my agenda for Thursday.
Okay, and so do we have to vote on something like this yet? I always forget with emergency certifications.
This is Angela here. Yes, we have to vote to ratify the emergency certification that I issued.
Yes. Thank you for always reminding me, because I don't know why, and I can never remember the procedure for that. Okay, so then in that case, do I have a motion to ratify the emergency certification issued for the slope washout behind Home Depot?
This is Jeffrey Goin, and I actually saw the crew out there the other day. I was going to get a coffee and saw them working on the bank, so it's interesting to hear what was going on. But I'll make that motion to ratify the emergency permit.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
This is Liz, I'll second.
Thank you, Liz.
Thanks. Angela here. The rest of the vote will be done by roll call. Chuck Raymond, how do you vote?
I vote aye.
Thank you. And Chairwoman Amanda Lansing, how do you vote?
I vote aye.
Perfect. So the motion carries to ratify the emergency certification for the work on the sewer line easement.
Wonderful. Moving on, it does not look like we have anything to discuss budget-wise. So in that case, our next meeting is Tuesday, February 9th, 2021, and the deadline for that was this past Friday, January 22nd at noon. And if there is nothing else that anybody wishes to discuss, do I have a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting?
I'll make a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting.
Thank you, Chuck. Do I have a second?
This is Liz, I'll second.
Thank you, Liz. This is Angela here. Jeffrey Goin, how do you vote?
Aye.
Thank you. And Chairwoman Amanda Lansing, how do you vote?
I vote aye.
Wonderful. So the motion carries to close the City of Leominster Conservation Commission meeting on January 26th, 2021 at, what time is it? 7:24 p.m. Thank you, everyone.
Awesome.
Thanks,
Thank you
all.
guys. Have
Good
a
night.
great evening.